So in a panic move, I try to knock him out instead and steal the key from him while he is unconscious, but I guess that's frowned upon because he proceeds to murder me in the street. So after my parents died, I lost my dad's sword, and I evaded the advances of 3 women, but I was badly hurt, and flirting woman number 2 kidnapped me to safety. Not ideal, but at this point, I'll take it. I spent about 2 weeks in her home close to Ratai, where her and her uncle took care of me. After I wake up, I offend flirting woman number 2, and then I get on with my business like a true professional. Well, since there is no fast travel in this mode, my first mission before the main quest is to get a horse. Now, horses are expensive, and right now my entire net worth is a piece of bread and some unresolved trauma. So the uncle complains that taking care of me was expensive, and he wants me to pay him back or work for him. So basically it's like an involuntarily all-inclusive stay, and I have to pay back in crime. And the first thing he wants me to do is to steal a ring from an executioner, the one guy you don't really want to annoy. So I'm off, and it's basically right next door. But in hardcore mode, you don't really have a location on the map, the quest marker is really restrictive, and you have no marker showing you north. I am directionally challenged on the best of days, so this is just torture. Anyways, 4 hours later, I find my quest next door. In the middle of the quest, I decide to fall down a few centimeters, and apparently that's lethal. At this point, I've already fought off several bandits, but a short fall off a small slope was enough for me to start severely bleeding and very abruptly end my adventures. Now, let's just pretend that was just a horrible nightmare and I wake up back at start. Now, to better prepare, I decided to bring some supplies, and in the menu I noticed that flirty woman number 2 has of course undressed me. Or perhaps it was her uncle. I go to sleep to save my game, and I forget about the negative perk that makes me sleepwalk, and I wake up in a church graveyard. Or maybe the uncle thought I was dead, went to bury me, and just gave up halfway through. I am really getting some mixed signals from this man. Usually the guards question you on your way into the city, but they let me sleepwalk right past them, and then act surprised when I try to leave. I'm just really impressed that sleepwalking me doesn't fall off ledges like awake me, so honestly, sleepwalking me might be better suited to finish this game. In any case, I get the ring, give it to Uncle, and as a reward, he will now buy stolen goods off me in the future. Then Uncle wants me to bring it to a colleague of his a few minutes away. This game has random bandit encounters, so just in case, I make sure I have a non-lethal weapon equipped. While equipping my stick, the game gives me a message saying you are trying to use equipment that demands better abilities than you have now. For a wooden stick. Now, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I'm sure I can somehow figure out the complexity of hitting people with the stick. Anyways, for now I put away my highly advanced weaponry and pray I don't meet any qualified people with sticks along the way. Now, Uncle tells me a sad story about why he became a thief. His harvest failed, and to provide for his starving family, he turned to a life of crime just to survive. Now, I can relate to that because the reason why I turned to crime is to get a horse because walking is mildly inconvenient. During the game, I'm giving the option to wash myself, but I'm going for the medieval experience, so I'm not washing myself for another 23 days. Then Uncle gives me another quest, and at this point I might as well follow the questline to make some easy money and level up my thievery skill, which unlike stick usage, I am apparently qualified for. My next mission is to steal another ring, but this time from a local bathhouse. Now, I'm not sure if Uncle heard me say that thing about not washing for 23 days, but sending me to a bathhouse feels less like a mission and more like an intervention. Anyways, I succeed in getting the ring, and I escape unnoticed. I was thinking to myself that this questline is not as exciting as the Thieves Guild one in Skyrim, but who needs excitement when I'm already getting fusrudad by the environment? I'm giving my next stealing mission, and this time it's a deed from the bailiff himself. The deed is in his quarters, which is above his office, and my plan A is just to go straight for his office, but I'm stopped by a lockpick that's too difficult to pick for me. I then have a genius plan B. I noticed his building is connected to the building next door, So I decide to sneak through the neighbor's building in hopes that I will find an easier lock to pick. But as I should have expected, the second lock is even more difficult than the first one. I then accidentally see the bailiff in the street and I quickly come up with a plan C, which is to pickpocket the key from him. I realize pickpocketing is not something I've learned yet, so in a panic move I try to knock him out instead and steal the key from him while he is unconscious, but I guess that's frowned upon because he proceeds to murder me in the street. Anyways, I quickly recover from being dead and I realize that I have to increase my lockpicking skills to complete this mission. Which means I need to try to lockpick everything I come across, and I start with the merchant, Conrad. He has a convenient staircase outside his home so I can sneak unseen directly up to his private quarters and rob him. I am working towards both my lockpicking skills and saving up for my horse at the same time. I'm not sure if it's a hardcore thing, a negative perk, or just this NPC, but he has supersonic hearing and he can hear me sneaking on an outside staircase a floor above him like I'm wearing flip-flops in a library. Again, I'm not sure if it's going to be all the NPCs, if it's a hardcore thing or a negative perk, but once he spotted me, he didn't leave. He just stared at me, waited a full 2 minutes, and didn't leave me alone like I owed him money. And then he blocked me, so I couldn't go down the staircase, so without connecting my 2 brain cells, I decided to jump down and do what I always do, make it worse. So, I'm dying again. And I have to wait for this NPC to come back down to his shop so I can buy bandages off him. I'm not sure if I'm being overly sympathetic, but if a guy was coming into my store dying from cuts, begging for bandages, I think I would just give it to him. I mean, this feels less like a purchase and more like an emergency. Now I've already lost money, but I know I managed to unlock his door, so maybe, just maybe, I can quickly run in and grab something to at least make this worth my while. No, all the chests are too difficult for me to open, and Superman over here is already on his way up to box me in again. And of course, I'm dying again, which means I have to buy bandages again. And at this point, it feels like he's robbing me, and unlike me, he's actually succeeding. I came here to steal, and somehow I am the victim. Now I'm getting angry, but I don't want to show that I'm angry, so like a mature person, instead of dealing with my feelings, I just passively aggressively rob the bathhouse again. Stealing from the city started to feel a bit complicated, so I simplified the process and started stealing from my neighbors instead. After I got my confidence back, I went back to the city, but the problem with the city is that you get randomly checked by guards, and if you have stolen goods, they take it away. But I come across a bookcase with some books in it, and they say knowledge is power, but I prefer cash. And then I see a chest. When I try to lockpick it, I'm caught by the bailiff and I'm worried he's going to search me or arrest me, so I do something I call a tactical retreat. Others might call it running away though. I go back to my best friend the uncle and sell off the books I stole, which was surprisingly a little valuable, or at least a little more valuable than the most expensive thing I've stolen so far, which I think is an apple. Therefore, I am tempted to go back to that chest to see if it has any more books. And boy oh boy, I hit the mother lode and I find stuff worth 550 coins. Immediately I make my way back to Uncle and I casually sprint past the guards like something behind me is on fire, you know, like a normal person. So, all in all, I think I can call this a good day. I'm still not qualified to use a stick, but I am qualified to make bad decisions.